Oh, hey everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video. Well, as you can see by this little plethora of parts laid out on my desk, we are working on the Tiger 1 1/35th scale by Tamiya. So let's get into it. So, what are we doing today? Well, as you can see here, I've done quite a bit, and in the last week or so, basically just doing a lot of the painting of the detail stuff, like the rubber around the wheels, painted the machine gun here on the top. What else do we do? All the little different tools like the shovels, and painted the barrel on the little machine gun that's sticking out there, the axe and the bolt cutters, this shovel, this thing, whatever it is, the hammer, this pry bar, and this another one of those things on the back there. I've done some of the detail paint, basically. One thing I want to get done very first, right off the bat, I want to clear coat this thing. So I'm just going to hit it with a little coat of flat clear. This is the Mr. Color, and so I want to do that because that's the next step. The other thing I've done, of course, is I've glued the wheels on. Just not all of them, obviously, because there's a lot more to put on there. But our next step we need to do is clear coat this thing. So let's just get that done. Okay, that's the turret. So, with that done and out of the way, we can let that dry. And so that's going to be in preparation for our next step, because we're getting into the weathering stages of this thing now, right? And that's what needs to be done. So, I put a clear coat on there to act as a barrier, because with part of the weathering, we're going to be taking a little bit of a sponge and tweezers, and we're going to take some paint, we're going to dip it in the paint, we're going to add some wearing and chipping effects to it, okay? But I'm going to be using the same paint for those chipping effects that I actually used to paint the model. And so as you start to get into that and you want to refine your chipping and you're using thinners, it's going to go right in, and you're going to be thinning the actual base coat of the model, and you don't want to do that. So that's why you add that clear coat, to add that layer in between the two paints, the two colors of paint. So that's what that is. But we're going to be doing some rust, as you might be able to tell on here. I've got all kinds of things all over my desk. I painted the cables, started off with the gray color, and then I did a wash, the rust streaks, to give this a nice rusty metal cable look kind of thing. Okay, we have the exhausts, and that's what we're going to do on these. So I didn't show you guys my technique in doing this, so I apologize for that. Well, we don't want that cam. We have various rust effects on here, And we're starting off. Let me see if I can get my camera to focus in on that for you. Okay, so I started off with the gray, or with the gray color. Then I took some insignia white and dabbed it with a little bit of with a sponge and put a whole bunch of little dots of insignia white on there. And then I did the same thing. Here's my other one. Okay. Did the same thing. Okay. On the other one, did the same thing with some NATO brown. Okay. So now the next step is to add some rust color. Okay. So, brush. I don't want to flood it with this stuff, but I do want to, let's get my paper towel ready here. I do want to add a little bit. So I'm not going to totally flood it with it, but I do want quite a bit on here. I guess I'll change the camera back again for you, just so you can see my. And the nice thing about this stuff, if you put too much on, you can always thin it out with the AK's white spirits. If you've gone a little bit too heavy-handed on it. And the other thing to remember, this exhaust is going to be mostly covered up. Mostly. I'm wanting to keep the randomness of it. Just kind of like that. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry. And we'll start to work on this one. I'm going a little bit more in the middle here, in this section here, because it's in anticipation that this cap is going to be covering a good section of that, like this, right? So I do want it, I figure, you know, it's covered, it's, you know how if you can get, just look at real life things. Moisture gets in on the metal, and it doesn't get a chance to evaporate. It really eats up the metal pretty harshly. Alright, so we've got that done. Alright, so I think my cables here, I did most of them, but I need to add it around here. I mean, these things really should be totally rusted for that authentic look I'm going for. But I'm not actually 100% sure on how much these things rusted in real life. you know, I'm sure they were put on the tanks and they were left and not even touched for quite a bit of time. And so I don't see these things getting a lot of maintenance and cleanup done on them. But you never know. I don't know. I really don't know. I do have some various kibbles and bits that I need to paint. I was going to get to those later on though. Okay. So with that done, I clean my brush. Now I could clean it with just lacquer thinner. Doesn't matter. It's the same stuff. Lacquer thinner is just really, you know, cleans everything. This just happens to be the odorless thinner for enamel products by AK. It's really just it's their white spirit. It's the same thing. And I've got a big bottle of this one too, the white spirit. This is the stuff I like to use that I keep nice and clean and don't really, it's for my blending, right? So let's see how our paint is drying over here. Still a bit tacky, so we're gonna have to wait. So I can get to doing some of the lighter color and doing my chipping on the wheels while we are waiting for the rest of that to dry. Because I don't need to spray it clear on the wheels. I'm not really going to be doing too much. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using the base yellow color, but I'm going to lighten it up just a little bit with the insignia white. Okay. Now the other thing I need to do, this is going to dry fairly quick, so I'm going to get prepared to do a lighter rust color on these, just to give it that bit of depth. This is already almost dry. Almost dry. But not quite. And this is the one I just did, and so I still got a few spots that aren't dry. But that's okay, even if it's not 100% dry, because you can blend it, and that's kind of the whole trick to rust effects, is kind of blending all your colors together. So this I'm going to do a little more sparingly, because I don't want 100%. This is just to add some variation in the color. Because effective rust effects requires that color variation in spots to look proper. So there we go. I don't know how well you can see that, if I can get this to focus. No. Focus, please. There we go. So there we go. So you've got the different rust colors. And so once that dries, you don't have to let it dry 100%, like I said, like you just watched me. It didn't dry 100% yet, and that's okay, because it will blend. We're going to be blending this. we go. Okay. And normally I don't do that, but that's okay. So, with that done, just a sec. For your promotions. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, let's see how we're feeling. Kind of dry to the touch. Just get a little spot there, went a little thick on it. That's okay. What I wanted to do today really was get into getting prepared to do the chipping on this. So I'll put this here. Since I sprayed the turret first, we're going to do the turret first. So I'm going to take my, that's not the right one, my dark yellow and my insignia white. Okay, and we are, which one has that one? Oh, this one. Yeah, shake it up good. There we go. Okay. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of this. Okay. You gonna cooperate? Thank you. And just a little bit of the white. Just a little bit. Like that. Even that is probably too much. We'll see when I mix it up. How's this going to look? It's all right. Okay, so why am I mixing it up? Why am I doing the lighter color? Well, you'll find just before you see spots where it's actually rust coming through on paint, it's actually kind of lightens up the color of the paint. Now I'm cheating with my sponge. I used this already when I was doing the exhaust. So what you want to do is you want to start off with it. You want to make the sponge almost dry, but not quite. And I want to go along some of the edges. You want to do a test. You can probably see that's significantly lighter. And that's what we're starting off with. And I want to kind of be a little careful with it and where I'm laying it out. I don't want to go too heavy-handed, and I don't want to make a big blotch. You get to a point where your sponge isn't doing anything, and it's time for more. Again, dry it all off. You don't want to go crazy with it. and very light touch as you tests, because you don't want to go crazy with it. See, like right there, that was way too much. And that's my fault for not doing a test on it more. The sponge method, of course, is the fastest way to get lots of chipping. You know, good old Uncle Night Shift on his channel, he only does the sponge once in a while. Because he prefers the precision of doing it by hand over the brush or over the sponge. So that's kind of what I want to go for. Now I want to do actually all three colors. I want to do a few in the red, in the dark green, but this is kind of my preliminary kind of thing that we're going for. Okay, so there's a turret. We can actually, since I got these sitting right in front of me, I can work on the fenders and get in on here. The fenders especially. I don't know, they call these fenders or skirts on the real thing. I'm not sure. Okay. I might do more on these. We'll see. You can always just increase more and do more as you go, whatever you want to be happy with. Whatever makes you happy. These are here. Let's do that on these two. So all these little pieces, everything needs to have this bit of a variation effect onto them. even the wheels. The wheels might benefit from actually doing the brush, because I could go like this and I inadvertently get paint where I don't want it. So the wheels I might actually just do by hand, just for safety's sake. Around the hatches you can go a little bit more heavy-handed. As you know, in real life these got used, and around the edges of them is going to be paint chipping off as usual. This is really just the preliminary start to the chipping and paint and then rust forming where the paint's been chipped away and things like that. Okay, so let's get to the main hull. We'll load up our sponge a little more. Especially around the little edges. This is where and there, you can go a little crazy here, especially as a way of unloading your sponge a little bit. Now, I haven't quite unloaded the sponge enough, so I am hitting some spots where it's just too much. But that's alright, because I can come back later and refine it. Which is another reason why I put that layer of clear coat, because I can actually come back after with some thinner on the brush and kind of blend it / get rid of it. And that will kind of lighten up the effect a bit. Of course, in the end, with all the dust effects that are going to be going on this, it's going to tone all of this down. It's going to kind of blend everything together. And so it doesn't really matter if you realize, holy crap, I went way too far on this and now it looks like crap. What do I do? Because it's all going to be blended together with dust and mud and all that good stuff. So you don't really have to worry too much about it. If you go way too overboard, it's quite alright. I'm going quite a bit on the bottom of the rear fenders here, because that's what I think would be attacked. The paint job would be attacked most. And I think that's about, that's about good enough. At least for this. Now that I've kind of gotten the hang of it, see, part of it is a bit of a learning curve to how your sponge is going to react when you dab it. Your first few taps, you're not even sure how it's going to appear. Anyway, so that's that. Okay, so what I can do is wipe this up. And I'm going to use a different sponge because I want something a little bit smaller, different shape. Okay. So I'm going to get a piece of sponge here. This is just regular old like kitchen sponge kind of thing. I want a small piece, and I actually want two because I got two colors to do. Okay. Random shapes are the best shapes. There we go. So I'm going to take my brown like that, and I have insignia white somewhere here. There's black. Where's my insignia white? There we go. Oh, this is a new one. Let's try one that's been opened. There we go. Now again, just one. Let's try just one drop and see how that looks. See, that really lightened it up. Just one drop. Made it a little too light. Three more drops. Let's see how this looks. That's better. That's a more milk chocolatey look. Okay. Same thing. Dab. Dry it off. Try on a wheel, see how it looks. It looks like I actually went back to the original color. I can't even tell that it's a different color. So, let's try one drop. Bit of an experiment here, right? Maybe the lighter color was the better color. Lighter is better. Let's just make sure this is really dry. Dab. Try this again. Yes, that's better. Okay, so turret time, and I'm only going to be doing it just in these little spots where the brown is. This is where things get a little more precise, because it's only going to be where this camouflage color is. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't want only the yellow to be looking like it's faded. Now for even more precision, I could just use a brush and put some dots in random spots. This is just for, well, because I'm lazy about it. And really no other reason. I'm just being lazy. And of course, because they're in fewer spots, there's less to do, and I'm pretty much done. Just like that. Again, I'm going to be doing the wheels with a brush. They're going to be separate. Just because, well, it's harder to get on theirs, and I don't want to, all the time that I spent painting the rubber on them, I don't want to have to go over it again. Touch up my fenders a little bit. That's about it. Okay, so with that, we're done with the brown. Okay, and we'll get rid of that. And we'll grab another sponge. Just like so. And we are going to go with the dark green. And put this away. So we're going to use these. You notice I'm using Tamiya with Tamiya. I'm not trying to mix Tamiya with Vallejo, because Tamiya is, I think it's alcohol based. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think Tamiya is alcohol while Vallejo is water. Both acrylics, but obviously different formulas. Don't need a lot in here at all. That's way more than I need. I don't really want to go crazy with I think that's good enough for my mixture. I think that's good. I'll go in closer for you guys again here. Here you go. So once again, get in there, get some paint on here. Once again, dry it all off. Test on a wheel. Let's pick a wheel here. It's not that much Even though it looked lighter, it's not really lighter, so we need more white. That's another thing, is you want it noticeably lighter, but not a crazy amount. Now that should be noticeably lighter, in theory. Let's get rid of that dark green color. Yeah, I can tell just by dabbing it on the napkin that it's a lighter color. Yeah. Okay. Let's start going around. Again, I'm not seeing a huge difference in the color variation from the green that's on here and what I'm putting on here. I think I might want to go a little bit lighter. Let me see here. Yeah, I want to go lighter still. Even later. I'm a little happier with that. I like that a little bit better. Just a little bit more noticeable. And again, it's just kind of picking out some spots here and there that you figure some wear and tear would occur. But not quite rusted through. We're going to be getting to that later on. Now, to my detriment, I do have a lot of paint loaded on here now, and I'm kind of blotching it everywhere. But once again, we can tone it down later if I really want to. Okay, fenders, let's see if there's any to do on here. Yeah, right there. Here. That's a good spot. I just went and squished the whole sponge right on that spot there and just really screwed that up. Now I could just fix that up. See, normally I clean up my Tamiya paints with lacquer thinner, but if I do lacquer thinner, I'm going to eat right through everything, and I don't want to do that. I definitely don't want to do that. Okay, so the green is done. Clean up my tweezers here. I got some paint on my fingers. That's alright though. I will clean that out properly later. Okay, let's go back to our little guys here. These guys. We're looking pretty good, but we're basically just looks like a whole bunch of blotchiness. And so now what we want to do is kind of blend it all together. And I'm going to do that. I can use my thinner, it's nice and dirty, and that might actually help to my the effect that I want. So I'm going to wet the brush, dry it just a little bit, and kind of just dab and kind of just reactivate it a little bit. Can actually keep my brush really wet if I want, and it kind of just reactivates it a bit to kind of blend, mesh it all together, that kind of thing, without being too harsh on it. And this way we get a more it's just more, everything is blended and melded together, you know, instead of just being a bunch of blotches. More of a unified effect, I guess you could say, except for the acrylic paint underneath. The acrylic paint underneath is going to stay exactly where you put it. So now that's blended a little more. You can see the acrylic dots and splotches underneath, but it's my two washes are now kind of blending together. kinds of variations in our colors, which is what makes it that more realistic look. I can actually go on this a little more. All right, I think I'm just about ready to call those done. So now I actually want to clean my brush, so that's why I grabbed this stuff to actually clean just a little more and get that off of there. Again, lacquer thinner is my kind of my go-to when I actually want to clean, really clean stuff. Now, I'm going to do a test because I've never done this before. That one splotch I did with the Tamiya, I haven't tried to clean this up. I want to know if this will take Tamiya paint off. And I'm going to go with no. White Spirit does not take Tamiya paint off. I do have some X20 somewhere here. I used to try and clean my brushes with this stuff, and it never really worked. It is getting rid of it though. It's taking it off. So note to self, this stuff sucks. It's yeah, terrible stuff. I'm gonna have to respray this section, or I can just leave it, put a bunch of mud on it, and not have to worry about it. So there's our exhausts. Both our exhausts are now really nice and rusty, and just letting that thinner dry on there now. And those will be dry in a little while. I'm going to use some black pigment to do the smoke effect on the inside there, which is why I didn't bother rusting it up, because it's all just going to be black. Okay, so anyway, this is where I'm going to leave it for today, guys. This is where we're going to call it a day. I don't know why my Twitch chat is glitching out on me and not showing my chat on the screen, but that's okay. Nobody talks while I'm live anyway. So we're gonna leave it here. This is it for now, guys. Like I've mentioned a couple of times already, I want to do this lighter chipping effect thing on the wheels with the brush, because it's just, I want to get a little bit more of the precision on there. I might not even bother. The wheels are all going to be muddy, and mud is what I'm going to do next time. Okay. Yeah, basically getting the mud under here is going to be my next step, because I want to get that on before I finish with the wheels setup. I don't know why my fan is not. Before I put the track on, I want to get some mud in here, because when I get the tracks on here, I'm not going to be able to get in there with them with any mud without getting it just a big mess everywhere, and I don't want that. So I want to put a little bit of mud in there first, then put the tracks on. So that's going to be the next step. Mud. You guys have seen me put mud on every other tank build. If you want to watch that and see that procedure, go watch those other videos. You'll see how I put the mud on. It's pretty simple. You just use a pigment and a binder, you make yourself some mud, and then splatter it where you want it. That's pretty simple and straightforward. So you guys can watch those videos. And if you like this stuff, I would be really cool if you guys would watch me live and we could talk and chat. Normally would appear here over on my right, your left. And we could chat, talk, ask me questions, that kind of stuff. That'd be cool. And follow me on my Twitch channel, and then you get notified when I go live. And that's all cool and fun and stuff like that. Anyway, I'll put links down in the description box below, where you can go on my Twitch, you can go on my Instagram and see still pictures of stuff I've built in the past, all that good stuff. So I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks for coming out. You guys who subscribe and all that stuff, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Really helps me out a lot. If you guys like this stuff, hit that like button, and if you haven't already, hit the subscribe down over here. It'd be really cool. Yeah. So thank you, airplanes, for interrupting my outro, and yeah, so until next time, we'll see y'all.